Gatorade. Water sucks.
20 seconds.
20. How now, brown cow? Nobody's in my ear. Somebody in your ear?
3, 2.
Bienvenido to another episode of Oswego Sports Update. I'm Blaze Hill. Adam, you and I played each other in a friendly game of basketball tonight. What was your favorite part? Your drive through the lane with a kiss off the glass finish, or when I jumped over you and dunked?
I'm Adam Rupsick, and I don't know how you got up to dunk after I broke your ankles with that crossover. OSU starts right now. The Oswego men's ice hockey team turned a near disappointing weekend to a truly memorable one in the North Country. The Lakers trailed Potsdam 3-1 and went on to score 3 unanswered goals on Friday to the tune of a 4-3 victory. Then, on Saturday, the Lakers upset their longtime rival, the Plattsburgh Cardinals. Adam, if we've learned anything in our lifetime about sports, we know it's all about getting hot at the right time. Is this a sign the Lakers are finally heating up? Well, Blaze, this is the definite win this team needed. I mean, with a season of a few losses that they weren't expecting, a few recently on the road in the SUNYAC, not the dominance that we usually see here at Oswego State, but this team is right up where they can be in the national rankings, and this is the perfect win they needed against the rival Plattsburgh. They're going to be one of the biggest games towards the end of the year, going in that with the confidence, knowing you can get that win in that game. Now it's anyone's SUNYAC tournament. And with that, I think Oswego State has a good shot, especially with that big win against Plattsburgh. They got Fredonia coming up, though. Fredonia has beat them in Oswego early in the year.
They need to be careful, Adam. You're right. They can't take Fredonia lightly, but I think that's what this game was about. It was a statement game. The Lakers showed, hey, we're here to fight in the SUNYAC. You know, we can win these games. Here's my argument, and I've been told throughout the week and over the weekend that I'm a little too critical, but I think they're a little bit too inconsistent on offense and defense. It's very hot, cold. You saw it in the Potsdam game. They go down 3-1. Then they come alive and win 4-3 after they almost dropped their first, they almost had a 3-game conference losing streak, something we don't see. And I really want to see them figure out this goaltending situation. I think it's becoming a major problem. I understand not wanting to start a freshman in the pipes in Matt Zawadzki, but he played pretty well. 22 shots, 0 goals against one of the best teams in the country. I think Zawadzki is the answer going forward. Gilby looked shaky the other night.
The game they played against Plattsburgh, they need to play throughout the SUNYAC tournament to get the. But I think they're very capable. Very capable. Well, the women's hockey team, after winning 6 straight in the month of February, dropped a couple games to top-ranked Plattsburgh this weekend. With the playoffs coming up, they earn a home playoff game coming up on Saturday against Buffalo State. What do you think of their success thus far this season?
Adam, I think their success is absolutely fantastic from what I've seen. I'm told I'm riding this team a little bit too high, but here's my argument for them. They're consistent, and what more could you ask going into the postseason than being consistent? I know they're going into the postseason coming off 2 losses. Before those 2 losses, and keep in mind Plattsburgh, they played Plattsburgh very well, and that's the #1 team in the country. Before that, they were riding a 6-game win streak. They had won all their games throughout February, and the 2 losses before the 6-game win streak started, 2 losses on the road to Elmira, and the second of those 2 being a 2-1 overtime loss, and Elmira, the #2 team in the country. I think, they took Elmira into OT. They played 2 tough games against Plattsburgh. I don't think there's any question they're winning this game against Buff State, and then from there, it comes down to their resiliency, but it's going to be tough. They got to go to Geneseo or Plattsburgh. Those are the roads in the ECAC West. It's going to be tough.
This weekend was huge for them in regards, even though they didn't win, it was huge to know that they can run with that Plattsburgh team. The #1 team in the country, just dominating people, letting something ridiculous like 3 goals or something the whole entire season. So with that, and then going in there and really running with them 1-0 and 2-0 in a tough weekend series, I mean, that gets them going, and definitely beat Buffalo State this week. They beat them 3-0 on the road in the regular season. So coming in, they'll have them at home,
looking good against Buffalo State.
They'll get it going.
Yeah, it's easy to look at those and say that Plattsburgh shut them out, but like you said, I think it was 7 goals all season. One of the best defenses in the country. Definitely a bright spot for the Lakers. All right, moving on to the hard court. The Oswego men's basketball team traveled to Cortland on Saturday, and with them, they brought the magic cloud, Adam, that we so often talk about that hangs over Max Zeal, turning an otherwise boring game into an overtime thriller. That's the way the Lakers always seem to do it. The Lakers got it done against the Red Dragons, and now have a quick turnaround for their first round SUNYAC playoff matchup against, who else? Those very same Red Dragons tomorrow night in Max Zeal. Adam, are you liking the Lakers' postseason chances?
I am, because I think they know how to win big games, and they have been quite inconsistent throughout the year. Over the winter break, it wasn't good for them. They dropped a lot of games they shouldn't have. A couple weeks ago, they dropped a game to Potsdam that they needed in the bottom of the SUNYAC team, but then they come back and they beat Brockport, the top-ranked team in the SUNYAC, a ranked team in the country, and they go and beat them in Max Seal Court and then take Cortland to overtime on the road and beat them. So I think they have what it takes to win. Dan Ross is stepping up where he needs to be. He'll be stepping up throughout the whole playoffs. Don't have to worry about him. You really got to focus on who else is going to step up for this team. We've seen an array of players do it, whether it's Elijah McLaren and Sampson at the guards or a freshman like Matt Crockett go off for 18 points against Brockport.
Yeah, but on the other side of that, Adam, there have been games, you talked about they're inconsistent. There have been games where none of those players show up. Seems like it's all Dan Ross, and those are the games that the Lakers lose, and it usually happens against the teams that they should be beating. But I will say this, as much as they scare me with their inconsistency and despite their atrocity on the road this season, I think they're going to be, just fine and definitely give teams a run for their money because and this is what I love about this team, they win the games that they shouldn't. They play well in big games, and what more can you ask out of any team?
And without John Ivey for the Brockport team, it's anybody's SUNYAC.
Absolutely.
After another tough loss, the Oswego State women's basketball team dropped another close game against Cortland to drop their 12th straight loss. The team finished with 6-19 overall and 2-16 overall record in the conference. What can they take into next year?
Well, Adam, first, just to kind of put the bow on this year, you mentioned the 12-game losing streak. I want to give them credit for hanging their heads, not hanging their heads low and keeping their chins up because, coming in every night during a 12-game losing streak, it's tough to go in and have the heart, but I think they did a great job with that this year. They lacked a huge post presence. They'll have to have someone step up. I looked at Haley Wichtella, the 6-foot forward center on their team, and they only had one true scorer, so they're going to need someone to step up. Haley Wichtella, Heather Hebert, Mary Mazzella, and Taylor Sorrell are all players who are going to grow into a starting role next year, and I think depending on how they adapt to coming from being role players to how they're starters and team leaders will depend on how far this team goes. I will say this, I don't think they're going to finish in the basement of the SUNYAC next year. I think next year is going to be a better season for them.
Yeah, they were playing tough games towards the end of the season. They weren't getting blown out. It'd be different if they were getting blown out. But they go in, some things to look forward to. You name some of the players coming back. I think Taylor Sorrell is going to take over that point guard spot
She has to, right?
She's really going to work on there. And I liked Wichella coming in in the second semester, and Heather Hebert. Both their plays this whole year, I think they were the top two players other than Jen Robbins on that team. So good to have them back for next year on the uprise.
Yep. All right, well, that's not all the Oswego sports coverage we've got for you tonight. Our athlete of the week is here and ready to talk with Dan North about his game-winning goal against Plattsburgh, as well as his team's chances in the SUNYAC playoffs. You might know who he is, but you'll have to stick around and find out for sure after the break. This is OSU.
This can't be happening.
This can't be happening. Of course it's not happening. Armored car. Listen, having money isn't about luck. Make your own coffee, save $1,000 a year. Feed me. Feed the pig.
I present to you Algebra 2. Foreign languages! And finally, biology. Who among you will step up to their challenge?
Me.
Yeah, I'll do it. Me too. Sign me up.
Take on the tough classes now. You need them to prepare for college.
Hey Laker fans, remember the following. Be loud, be proud, be funny, be civil.
Above all, be positive.
We've cleaned up our act on the ice. Now it's your turn to clean up yours in the stands.
let's say hello to men's ice hockey forward Brandon Adams.
Start over.
All right, welcome back to OSU. Dan North is over at the round table with our athlete of the week. Let's say hello to men's ice hockey forward Brandon Adams. Danny, take it away.
Thanks, Blaze. And you said I'm here with Oswego State sophomore forward Brandon Adams. Brandon, thanks for joining us here on OSU.
Hey, thanks for having me.
No problem. All right, so let's kick things off here. You know, you got the game-winning goal against Plattsburgh State, and a team in Potsdam that's been playing better. As of late, you got both those wins. How did you feel after you scored the game winner in Plattsburgh, though?
You know, it's hard to say. I like to say I kind of blacked out for the most part. It's just a lot of excitement. You know, you don't necessarily expect a shorthanded, well, not shorthanded, but a short-side goal like that to go in, being so close against a senior goalie who's got a lot of talent. So just pure excitement for the most part.
Yeah, awesome. Coming off of 2 straight losses, like you said, going into Potsdam and Plattsburgh, what were you guys thinking going into those games? Basically knowing you have to win both of them going into.
For the most part, you know, I'd like to say we were going with the same mindset we have for the most part of the year, just going in prepared to do our jobs, just to work together as a team to try to get the win. You know, going to Potsdam, they got up on us pretty quick, but I thought we came back with a real strong effort, and going to Plattsburgh a little bit different just because it's such a big rivalry that we have with them. And, you know, you don't want to let the rivalry try to get to your head, but it does a little bit, just knowing how much of a history there is behind the 2 teams. But, you know, try to go in there with a level head and just come out with a win.
Yeah, definitely. I heard the fans were pretty rowdy in there. And after your win against Plattsburgh, you guys have some serious momentum rolling forward here into the playoffs. You know, what's your game plan heading in?
You know, it's going to try to be probably the same as it was going to last weekend. Just go in, everyone does their job, works hard, try to come out playing as a team and come out with success.
And in the playoffs, you're facing, of course, Fredonia. Losing the first one of the year in overtime, 2-3 against them. The second game, you know, a much different game. You guys winning pretty handily, 5-1 going in there. And coming back here to Campus Center, what do you guys like to do to make this playoff game more like the second Fredonia game?
Well, obviously we got to try to forget about the first game. I mean, I like to think that's so long ago that it can't really be in our minds anymore. But we obviously got to go in expecting them to give a game. It's the playoffs, and for the most part, they're going to come and bring a really good effort. So we got to be prepared to match that effort and just try to play our game and take care of business.
Awesome. And you, Bonner and Water Street, you guys have been playing together. Got that first line start up in Plattsburgh. You know but as a team, as a whole, you know how can you express, you know, such a young team, the chemistry you guys have gained, you know, since day one. You know, such a different atmosphere compared to previous years.
Yeah, you know, I mean, coming in day one here, there's so many new faces, only 9 returners on a 33-man roster. Took a little while for everyone to get to know each other, to know each other's personalities, and I think maybe in the beginning of the year that kind of reflected it with the loss of Fredonia. That was kind of uncharacteristic of an Oswego hockey team. Right. But as the months have gone on, I feel we've really come together as a team, both on and off the ice, and I feel it's starting to be reflected in our play, just with just unselfishness and the confidence we have in each other as a team. Yeah,
you guys have definitely grown a lot and looking good heading to the playoffs. So take a step off the ice really quick. What do you like to do in your free time when you're not out there skating?
You know, for the most part, I like to just lie in bed, try to catch up on some TV shows. I don't get too much free time during the season, just between hockey and school and a couple of jobs here and there. So just lying in bed and relaxing and trying to catch up on my shows.
Awesome. And one final question. You said you were transferred from Holy Cross, Division I college. What's the biggest difference jumping from Division I college like Holy Cross and then here at Oswego State?
I think the biggest difference you're probably going to see is just a little bit of some star power, just from the standpoint you're playing Division I, you're playing some guys who've been drafted in the NHL, some guys who are going to be expected to play in the NHL right out of college. So I think just the big difference is just a couple of individual talents that you see at Division I level that aren't necessarily present at the Division III level.
Awesome. Brandon, again, thanks for joining us, and good luck Wednesday.
Thank you very much.
All right, and a lot of storylines have surfaced, but we'll have that coming up after the break. This is OSU.
Everyone has friends. There's online friends, friends to go out with on a Saturday night, friends to hang out with and do nothing. friends who show up on moving day. And then there are the friends who'll be there if someone is dealing with a mental illness. Are you one of those friends?
WTOP TV 10, Oswego, New York. I'm the kid. Come on.
I'm lucky. Let me help you with that. I get to do something I love. It has nothing to do with touchdowns or titles. Everybody bring it in. I get to play a part in the life of someone just starting out. How many of you think homework is just as important as teamwork? I help keep kids in school. Good. And that's the name of the game. My name is LaDainian Thomason. I don't just wear the shirt, I live it.
Give, advocate, volunteer. Live United.
Welcome back. Let's send it over to Dan the Man North, who has some topics up for grabs. Dan, what you got?
Thanks, Adam. On one of the most anticipated games of the year in college basketball, Syracuse took on Duke in Cameron Indoor. The game was ultimately decided on a charge call when Syracuse senior C.J. Fair drove to the hoop and scored what would have been the tying and possibly the go-ahead bucket for Cuse if he were to make the free throw, of course. Jim Boeheim wasn't all smiles after the referee made the decision, which ultimately ended the game for the Orange. But guys, we know this is a new rule added to the game and such a bang-bang play for the referees. But is college basketball misinterpreting this charge call?
I don't think misinterpreting it is the right word. They called a charge. It was a charge. The new rule is if your feet are set and you're outside the restricted area and you're set before the player goes up with the basketball, it's a charge. And all three of those things happened. It was a charge. They called a charge. There's nothing else to say about it.
Now some of you at home might be thinking, hey, that's coming from a Blue Devil fan. I'm here to support him. I'm a diehard Syracuse fan, 315, born and raised. The refs got this one right. You play that in slow motion. C.J. Fair had not left the ground yet. When the defender was in place, standing, he has a right to be there. He was clearly outside the circle, and I'm sick and tired of people saying that call cost him the game. Because, Adam, what cost him the game?
The technicals that Jim Boeheim picks up. The second most winningest active coach in college basketball picks up 2 technicals when his team is down by 2, and then all the real Cuse fans come out and the excuses start coming out. Let's go Duke.
We lost.
Let's go Duke. Dan.
Wow, Blaze, I can't believe it. Over the weekend, a big storyline was Jason Collins signing a 10-day contract with the Brooklyn Nets. Collins did play in the game against the Lakers last night, only playing 11 minutes, contributing 2 rebounds and a steal. But guys, the big picture here is that Collins is the first openly gay player to play in any of the 4 major sports. But why does it seem that being a gay player in the NFL, like possibly Michael Sam coming out for this draft, is a bigger deal than players in the NBA?
Well, Dan, I think to answer your question first, I think maybe there's a little bit of a different perspective simply because stereotypically the NFL is a more, I guess people would say, manly sport. So I guess maybe that's where, the general media comes from on that standpoint. I kind of stand for on this is definitely a significant moment. I don't think anybody, can really has a right to argue that. Definitely a significant moment. But I guess my biggest thing is, Adam, and I'll see where you stand on this, but my biggest thing is that, we want it to become like nobody knows and, you don't even notice a transition. There's no difference. And, how can we move toward that when it's, headlining news and you're receiving, I think you said you received an update when he went into the game, when he signs a contract, when he scores a bucket, like, how can we move to a point where there is no difference between whether you're an openly gay athlete or a straight athlete, when it draws so much attention.
And that's a concern I have with it, not that what attention is given more to football or basketball or anything like that. I think there's too much attention in general given to the whole thing because these guys, they just want to be normal
Everyone's
athletes.
out there with the same goal.
So what's the difference of him going into the game than anyone else going into the game? Why do I need that Sports Center update? It's great, good for him. It needs, but to find full acceptance, I think the media kind of needs to take a step back and just treat them as normal, and then people will start seeing them as their athletes as they are.
Exactly. I think well said, Adam. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, great points. The hockey portion of the Olympics is over, and both the men's and women's team came up short, one of them more than the other. The men suffered a heartbreaking loss to Canada in the play-in game for the gold, and they lost 5-0 against Finland in the bronze medal game. The women lost even more of a heartbreaker, you could say, against Canada in the gold medal round, but were still able to pick up the silver medal. Guys, what went wrong for Team USA hockey?
I'm quite disappointed as a United States of American citizen. The women's game, that was one thing. They had that gold medal around their neck and blew it. Blew it. The men's team, Canada is good. They played them to a 1-0 game. Can't really be mad on them for that. The Finland game, just throw it out. No one even watched it. That in the United States.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Especially after Finland went up 1-2, 3-0.
I'm more. The women's team had the gold around their neck and they blew it.
Yeah, I think it just comes down to they had that big win over Russia, and maybe that's where all the men's team energy went. Because then they come out and they get beat by Canada, and you could see it in their body language when they went out on the ice against Finland. They felt defeated, and they were really. Rightfully so. This is now 2 straight Olympics where Canada's bounced them out.
They weren't going for the bronze. They're trying to compete for gold medals now.
I mean, right? Isn't that what the Olympics is all about? Silver and bronze, certainly every respect in their own right, but everybody's there, of course, for the gold. And I think once they couldn't get that, it was not much left to play for. Also new in national sports, Brett Gardner signed an extension with the Yankees. And hey, we can't forget about the Daytona 500, am I right? I'm no teacher, but it's time for us to break out those report cards on the national sports scene when we return. Glue your butt to your chair, you won't want to miss it.
Every night before the show, me and the guys, we like to loosen up a little bit. Blue, 42, hike! Every now and then, Dan likes to take it a little too far. But hey, the show's all about competition, so we'll take it.
Stupid Dan with stupid football and stupid running.
Hey, how's it going?
Sir, are you okay?
What? Oh, this? It's probably nothing. I'm sure it'll go away.
Go away? But, sir, that can't be good.
No, it's cool, really.
Do you want a napkin or something?
Everything's fine. Thanks.
You wouldn't ignore this, so why ignore the signs of a stroke? At the first warning signs, call 911 immediately, because time lost is brain lost.
Welcome back. Hey, Dan, I'm putting my teaching hat on. Those tests are in. Give me some grading to do.
Adam, I got them for you right here. And the Yankees made another off-season move, signing outfielder and speedy Brett Gardner to a 4-year, $50 million contract with a 5th-year option. Gardner seemed really excited about the extension and says he doesn't want to be anywhere else except in those pinstripes. What's your guys' grade on the Yankees move?
Drum roll, please. I'm going to give this one a B+. I like it. I don't love it. I think the money might be a little too much, but in defense of the Yankees and Brett Gardner in terms of receiving that money, I think that's a good move. We've seen his hitting improve. He's obviously one of the fastest guys in the majors. And can you imagine? Because one of the other fastest guys in the outfield in the MLB, Jacoby Ellsbury. Imagine an outfield with Brett Gardner and Jacoby Ellsbury. How many balls they're going to miss, Adam? Give that a B+. I like
That's
it.
why I'm right with you, giving it a B. Right down Broadway there. I like how they need to rebuild this team, and this is a good step to do it. He's not going to be your star player. He's not going to be your star player, but he could be a player on a championship team that's extremely consistent. And they're starting to build and build that outfield.
And
so
it's not a crazy amount of money. You can definitely justify that. It's certainly no $35 million contract, Mike Trout. Dan.
A rainy Daytona 500 race took place this past weekend with a delay of more than 6 hours. Dale Earnhardt Jr. took the trophy and finally ended a 55-race losing streak dating back to 2012. What's your grade for the Daytona 500, boys?
Is going to crash big.
Well, I enjoyed it. I'm giving it a B. B+, right down, because I almost said right down Broadway again for the second straight time.
It makes a lot of sense when you say it for racing.
With this great win for Dale Earnhardt Jr., with the legacy of the anniversary of his father dying, Dale Earnhardt, and coming in off a drought. Dale Jr. is one of the best racers in NASCAR, and finally he gets that win. He's always just close. The rain delay kind of ruined it for me. Other than that, it'd be an A+.
The rain delay made the broadcast tough to watch, but the race as a whole, I'm going to give it an A-. The reason it's not an A+ is, like you said, because of the rain. You know, you love to see Dale Earnhardt Jr. win. So much of the conversation was around, this guy's one of the most popular guys in racing, and this is the first time he's won in 50-something races. I mean, that's pretty impressive that he still has a following, and, so many people love him. So in terms of fan reaction and who people want to see win, from a fan perspective, I love that Earnhardt Jr. won, especially, like you said, on the anniversary, of course, of his father's passing. Danny.
A new rule is adopted into the MLB today as a home plate collision rule is implemented into baseball. The rule is intended to limit collisions at home plate and says that, quote, a player may not deviate from his direct pathway to the plate in order to initiate contact with the catcher, end quote. If the runner does this, he is considered out. Also implemented is if the catcher is blocking the pathway without the ball and is in the runner's way, then he is considered safe. So guys, what grade do you give this new rule?
Well, I'm going middle of the road on this one. We'll give it a C. We'll call it a 75. Not failing, certainly not an A, because I'm split on this one. Half of me loves it because it's the right move. It protects players from injuries, especially concussions, which everybody's trying to crack down from. So from a medical standpoint, I absolutely love this move. But from a fan standpoint, is there anything better? In the bottom of the ninth with 2 outs, runner on second, you get a bloop into center field, and here comes, let's say Brett Gardner around at third base, and he's headed right at Jared Saltalamacchia, and there's a home plate collision. Ball pops loose, ball doesn't pop loose. Is there any better way to end a game? I love that.
I'm giving it an A- because I'm with you. I like that collision, but how many times does that actually happen? And when it does happen, when do players get hurt? A lot of the time when collisions happen. So this is going to force more finesse with the players around the plate, if you will. Got to get in for the touch. So I like that because collisions don't happen that much. Were they cool? Yeah, but hey. All right. Now we're coming down to the wire with just a minute left to go in our show. Orioles and Nelson Cruz. Deal. What do you think?
A guy in his mid-30s who's extremely strikeout prone, making $8 million a year? Thumbs down. Jadeveon Clowney ran the 40-yard dash in 4.53 seconds. That's faster than every quarterback since 2006 except our friend Bob Griffin. Adam, are you impressed?
I'm extremely impressed. Great. That's outstanding. Hughes drops to 4 in the polls and almost dropped another loss tonight in Maryland. Concern for Hughes Nation?
I'm worried. I'm a Maryland fan. Maryland is not a good team. Hughes, you can't score 60 on Maryland. I think there's cause for concern there. Yeah. The Shockers of Wichita State are still undefeated, the only team left. 2 regular season games, then the conference tournament. Can they pull it off, Adam? Can they do it?
I think they get the undefeated season, but look out in tournament time. They're playing some questionable Division I schools.
Very true, very true. But can you fault them for,
Hey, you can't fault them. I'm just saying. I don't think.
Dan, I messed up last week. Anything for us right now?
Well, but it's not you, but Adam. The Plattsburgh woman came in with giving up 12 goals, not 7. That's all I got, though.
Adam, even I was wrong on that. I tried to correct you and say 7.
I said 3, I think.
7 plus 3, is that 12?
Crazy.
Is 7 plus 3, 12?
Yeah.
Close enough, right? Broadcasting.
Close.
Adam, what do you watch for on the tube this week?
Well, I don't know about the tube, but I'm going to be watching some Oswego State playoffs as this week goes on. We got Max Zeal coming up tomorrow, playoffs, then hockey, and then more hockey over the weekend. It's going to be good.
And hey, maybe even some more playoffs, depending on where it goes from there. As far as the men's hockey team maybe going on the road to play Genesee or Plattsburgh. That's definitely going to be exciting things to watch.
McMahon for Cortland had 39 for Cortland Saturday.
39.
Lakers got to shut them down.
Yeah, but coming home, I think that's what gives the Lakers the edge. Hopefully, you're going to be on the call. I want to hear some more Adam Rupsick energy. I'd love for that one to be a close game.
Alrighty.
All right, stay tuned. We'll have all that coverage for you on WTOP throughout the week. But that's all the time we've got here for Oswego Sports Update. We'll see you again next week.